episode of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. I'm I'm your host, Sir Chad Everbroshears, and put together as I'm making observations on myself and the people I engage with regularly. What exactly people are struggling with and the insights that I have on it. I am in a constant state of study because I want to develop myself consistently. This is my intention is always to grow. I don't really listen to music a lot, although I do use music for specific reasons, helping shift moods, things like that. Sometimes it's just nice to not have to have my brain at work, if you will, or just kind of working on specific things. Although it's not like I shut it off listening to music. What I do is kind of down a little bit so that I can just either live in a moment of nostalgia or whatever, but not necessarily dealing with high complex issues. And, perhaps it's after having a long day and a few carbs or something like that. It's just more rewarding to shift it down a little bit. So all of that, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I think that it's often people hear things and believe from where they're at, and they bring whatever their world is into whatever you're saying or whoever you are, and tries to fit you into whatever their narrative is. So why that is important to know is because it's what we do as human beings, being human beings. We like to understand things, and we like to get to play our center role in the reality that we live in. You're the main character in your own reality. And then you'll have other people that have big parts. What we do is we sometimes succumb to the wishes of others that their narrative demands. And when that happens, it causes us to change who we be in order to allow somebody to continue to be in somebody else's reality. And it doesn't even have to be like they talked you into it. It could be that you're feeling out the way that they experience you, and you're looking for how you can stay a part of that or become a bigger part of it because of your needs. So you change your behavior in order to get somebody to like you more. The simplicity is when we say if you want somebody to like you, things like that. But the more complex view is how do you fit into the play of their life, the narrative that they live with? How do you fit into that? But the simplistic is, do they like me? Check yes or no. It's really nothing. That's not overly complex or complicated. It goes back to a very rudimentary way of thinking, something that we did in our primary schools. Do I like this person? Do they like me? But on a more deeper level, as we get older, we have more sophisticated needs and wants. And a lot of times we look for somebody else to facilitate what we're missing. And we're not looking going, hey, I don't have, whatever skill set to do X, Y, Z. I need a waltzing partner. It's not that. You say, hey, I want to, I'd love to dance. And I'd love to have an opportunity to do more of that. And then, through the process of meeting people and getting to know them, you find out somebody else likes to dance. And then it's like, okay, well, what type of dance? Perhaps we should dance together. You may have that kind of insight, but it's likely that what you really have is you have a feeling that you have something that you want. Now, those are just the basics for and the simplicities is that's a want, not a need. A need would be, hey, I can't keep a roof over my house, or I'm not sure where my next meal is going to come from. The things that are necessary for survival. That would be in the needs category. The wants category would be, it'd be nice to experience these things. But usually we don't have that clarity of speech where we say, yes, I want a waltzing partner. Unless you're in the moment where, waltzing is the thing that you're just admiring, and then you say it. But it's not even so much that, it's the bonding that you have with that person that gets you to see that yourself for who you are while you're with that person. Because they create an environment that has you satisfying something that you have had a desire for some period of time, and that desire has had you, specifically with the waltzing the example, you may want, that may be a declaration of sophistication, because it is an incredibly well put together dance that, when done properly, looks amazing, right? Like it has this flow to it that really makes it stand out for what it is, and makes others desire that experience, like wanting to be able to do such a thing. It's a mastery demonstration. There's a lot of those that are what we covet. But what does that say about you if you make that level of ability possible? There's something that you tell yourself about that. So it's not like, hey, I just want to learn to dance. There's a specific value you're looking for that usually is just more of a reflection back to you of you, and that's increasing that love factor that you have for yourself to some degree. Know thyself, which of this video is Know Thyself, Courage and Bravery. That specifically is, you don't need to have the monk level awareness of who you are. You already know who you are to a very good degree, but you also know who you don't want to be. And that has to do with elements about your past. Could be that, you don't want to be like your parents or somebody, and there's things that you may have done that you don't want to do again, and that you've improved upon that. That's usually the never again statements. But it could be the consequences of that, and then you say never again, which means now to never again experience the consequences, not necessarily the behavior that got you there. So courage, you have to know who you are in a way that makes you remarkable to other people. If you're seeking out to be remarkable, which is pretty much everybody I've ever interacted with, they want to be known for something. They don't want to be easily forgotten. Then if you're easily forgotten, then did you really live? And that's one of the questions that people typically struggle with, because they want to live a life that has value and meaning, so that they have, a legacy and an impression that they've actually lived this life. So, live it all out, live it full, right? So, knowing thyself doesn't mean that you have to be, again, at that monk level of knowing you. That can simply be that you're just at that, you know that you don't like certain things. Well, that's knowing you to a degree, right? And whatever the X factor is, the things you don't like, you also know there's things you do like. It's a process and a practice. Do I know who I am through and through with every aspect about my being and every fiber of my being? No, I don't. But it's something that I work on daily. But I also work on it in such a way that I enjoy it a great deal. It's not like it's a laborious effort. It's like anybody else that, that likes music and they're listening to music. It's something that entertains them, but they also are feeling through specific things that give them more of a sense of experience than just entertainment. It's a deep level of satisfaction. And I am absolutely just in love with figuring me out and developing myself into this, the person that makes a big difference everywhere I go. Because make a difference has value in, my need to make a difference has value, and thank you for letting me over. Pardon everyone, I am coming over. Thank you, I missed my turn. Okay. So, with that, I will thank that person for ignoring ignoring my turn signal the entire time and putting me back quite a bit. But, well, such is life, c'est la vie. Alright. So, alright, back to the thought that I was just pulled away from. Alright. So, okay. So knowing thyself. Again, it's just, to know you is just it's a wonderful thing to have, because it's, like myself, I absolutely love knowing, and for knowing who I am helps me develop myself into making the biggest impact that I possibly can in the world. And I really do want to make a big impact. I want to make an impact that gives people just the views and insights that can at least help them get unstuck. And the sticky aspect about life is that it makes people sit in suffering most of the time. And if you're going to sit in suffering, and it's incredibly easy to do this because I don't want to move forward because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what comes out of not knowing. So something that you don't know. So there's plenty of things that we don't know, and not knowing reduces our ability to understand whether or not we can actually navigate something or even survive it, right? Doesn't mean survive it physically, although that sometimes is true. It's more survive it for who you know yourself to be at that moment. And this is why a lot of the Eastern philosophies say die into the future, die into yourself. And what they mean by that is whoever you believe yourself to be right now likely is not the person that's necessary in order to achieve your life goals. There's specific aspects about you that takes you away from being able to live your life goals. You are in your own way, is another way of saying it. Just certain things about you are like dead wood that you need to burn off. Right? It's just extra weight. It reduces your ability to function. And with that, you have to develop yourself into that next level of who you are. I also speak about this in the Phoenix portion of my videos. But with the Phoenix, that is usually the dying of something about you that was not by your choice. It is the burning of the previous self that completely takes it away, and you have to rebuild, just like the story of the Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is an awesome, amazing story, but what I'm talking about with this is more of the developmental values that are less catastrophic, if you will. It's far less emotionally challenging, because this is more of the things that usually you lead with desire. You have some hardships with it a lot of the times in my experience, where there are things that just don't quite match up, and it's frustrating, but it's not like what the Phoenix goes through that causes the rebirth of it, which is the thing that seems like the absolute catastrophic moment in life that you feel like you won't recover from. It's the Phoenix experience. With this, it's more of I can get better. I know to get better. I will get better. I'm working on this to become more proficient. That's what I'm talking about with this. So, I got something that popped up on there, but I think it's Google communicating with me. Okay. So, developing yourself. You have to know what you want to develop. Because when you're developing this, whatever that aspect is about you, and you communicate with whomever it is that's in your life, when you share something that's new to you, that is valuable to you, can leave you feeling degrees of vulnerability. Sometimes it's done with excitement, you don't feel the vulnerability. But that's what I mean by that you have being courageous or brave. So there's things about courage and bravery that people misconstrue as well. The idea that courage or bravery is without cowardice or fear. It's being afraid is a natural thing in life, specifically for what we don't know. Because the real fears that lie on the other side of what we don't know are incredibly challenging. Because you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know if everything about your existence is going to be destroyed walking through the doorway. of whatever you don't know, or whatever aspect about you. We have experiences where that's happened, where like you went into something completely blindsided and find out that from whatever it was that you just interacted with exposed some major vulnerability about you didn't even know was there. And it leaves you with a questioning who you are. So sharing what you've developed in yourself is incredibly valuable, but it's scary. And that's what bravery is acting in the face of what you don't know. But it's also in the face of fear. Why wouldn't you want to act in the face of fear? For me, it's like, yes, do it. Something that I've shared with many people in my life, but I don't recall if I've shared it in the series or not. I had social anxiety. Actually, I did share this in the series. I had social anxiety. It came on middle school, and I had several panic attacks, like legitimate, like serious, full-blown panic attacks. So I overcame that by pushing the boundaries and by pushing myself into situations that I had to deal with that, what was triggering that anxiety. And from that, because I did it at such a fundamental age, it's a major part of who I be. Or another way of saying it is who I am. So I look at opportunities where there's anxiety and stress, and I say, well, this is going to forge me into something more. And that's what I pursue. So when I find it, I go after it. It's part of that whole, being a developmental junkie, if you will, because I want to grow. And I share it. Now, sharing these videos, in the very beginning, they were hard because I was so incredibly aggressive with myself about how I'll be judged by others. The way that I speak, the way that I look, that I'm not, this proclaimed guru guy or, carrying multiple PhDs or something. And why does my voice have value? There's all these these little things that, like the subconscious mind's kind of taking you apart. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to live my life this way. It's to be accepted is one of the most beautiful things that you can have in life. And for me, that's also the definition of love, is acceptance. But as I'm going through this, it's like, okay, we'll make a video a day. A month ago, I couldn't get through a video without crying my eyes out because of the emotional turmoil that I was going through and how I was tearing myself apart about what had happened in my previous relationship and what I was doing and how I was making meaning of what happened in that relationship. Couldn't get through a single video, and that went on for weeks. And if you don't believe me, just go back a month ago and you'll see. Now, there's incredibly powerful insights. I absolutely loved what I went through to the extent that it developed me into something. It gave me more that I was unable to see prior because it did not have that emotional, soft underbelly, if you will, exposed. So I had some incredibly profound insights to myself and to the people that I communicate with on a regular basis that found great value in it. But it was being vulnerable. But I had to deal with the potential of rejection. That rejection was regular. It was daily. But it's not like it was a major sense of rejection because I've been practicing this so much, as far as sharing myself and allowing myself to be vulnerable. But yeah, that rejection was there. But it took courage to overcome the potential of being shut down. So know thyself. Face the issues whenever fear is present. Take it on. It's an opportunity to grow. And rejection happens, but rejection is its own blessing. Because if somebody's going to reject you for being truly who you are, then that person may be holding a role in your life that you're dependent on them to some degree that could cause you either to not achieve your goals because they're not going to be supportive enough for you, or they may be they may damage your opportunities later on. That's something to keep in mind. Would you rather find out that you've been betrayed whenever you've been with somebody for 2 years, or would you rather find out that you've been betrayed after being with somebody for 10 years? 2 years of dating or 10 years of marriage, and that it's irreconcilable. Would you rather that it be 2 years and you just deal with the emotions without all of the entanglement of being married and having the legal consequences and maybe splitting up your home and possibly having children that you have to actually figure out how you're going to raise, with somebody that you don't, that you question the reality of who they are and their interests and your well-being, potentially your children? So which was a preference for you, to be rejected early or to be rejected later? And the only way to really know whether or not that rejection will ever happen is to just know who you are and share that person with people and let them reject you if they need to. That's fine. Keep developing. So, all right, that's it for the episode today. Just sit and ponderance of who you are. It's a beautiful place to be, and you're an amazing person when you get to know you. I promise you. Some people may not feel like they're an amazing person. I went through my own time not feeling amazing, feeling like I was more chaos than I was order in life, and that was it was a tough time because I questioned a lot about me. I questioned a lot about my existence, and it's understandable. But beyond all of that, I got back to going, you're an amazing human being. You're remarkable. You want the best for people, and you do what you can daily to do that. You are a great person. And I was reintroduced into that guy that I love, which is me. So take the time to know thyself. I promise. You're a beautiful person. You're an amazing person. So that's the one that you need to share with people, but you got to know you first. So, all right. With that, enjoy the rest of your day. Creating the life you want is not going to be given to you. You absolutely have to create it yourself. It's not always easy. In fact, sometimes it's really hard. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's well worth it. And in the end, it's the life that you will have well lived. But you have to create it. All right. Until next time, I am your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears. This is Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. If you found value in this video, please like the video, share it with people in your life, especially the ones that you want to start a conversation with that this can help give access to. Again, I'm not always right. I'm just sharing what my experiences have been in hopes that it may create another opportunity to see life a little differently for you. And with that also potentially gives you the opportunity to have conversations with people that are deep, powerful, and meaningful for you and the other person. So until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you next time.